And we looked for investors for about a month and couldn't find it. And it was the day of closing that we were supposed to go and sign the paperwork. That he said that we put a notice on Facebook to say, you guys, if be in prayer for us, because if we don't raise this amount of money today, then Sophie House will be closing. And we raised $2 million in one day.
Wow.
And then after that, we were we went to the owner, went to the company, and they told us, I'm sorry, all or nothing. So we had to go in and sign the paperwork to say we're not doing Sophie House. That was what was happening. And then
is the hunter fried chicken, and of course macaroni on the side. So this is the barbecue beef ribs fingers, but this is actually mine. Just I was eating my wife's food. Barbecue sauce is fire, and it's boneless. So good. You guys said you wanted to see me eat the food, so I'm eating the food, okay? You gotta come and try it for yourself to see how good it is.
Welcome to Soul Food House. Come on in. First stop, house rules. We try to abide by them as much as possible to make sure we can show people as much love as possible. And then my favorite area, my wife. Then we have my laboratory, which is filled with the beautiful concoctions that I make and some standard stuff. It's fun. We don't put too much stuff on the walls so that it doesn't take away from people just feeling relaxed. But we do big up our appearance on Ugly Delicious because it brought a lot of customers from all over the world. This is like the quick glossary for people that have like common questions on what Southern food is, gumbo, what is blackened, which is a Cajun seasoning, black-eyed peas, grits, and it's all good to me. We do live music here often, and scheduling and everything. Chitlin! Wait, that's a piece of celery? Oh, I want the celery. This upper portion features some whiskeys, custom and otherwise, and a beautiful carrot cake that she just finished making. And it probably won't last the night. We'll see. Pickles. And I can't show you the kitchen because the kitchen staff doesn't want me to show you the kitchen. They're very adamant about their private creative space. But this is Soul Food House. So this is Tokyo Seikai Meshi. I can't remember the last kanji. But it is the manga version of a food guide for Tokyo. This got Jamaican, Philippine, Colombian, Peruvian. We're number 25 in this book. And there's one country represented for each restaurant. We're the American restaurant. We even have, little depictions of us as manga characters. I thought it was great, but it's us explaining what soul food is, and they wrote it all down. Like you saw Tanya with chitlins earlier. We got chitlins in the book, dirty rice, ribs, gumbo, just explaining the goodness of that food and the origins of it was amazing to do. Soul food, soul food is, that's a complicated question because it varies for everybody. For me, greens, cornbread, pulled pork, fried chicken, mac and cheese, gumbo, like things that were made with leftovers. Chitlins for Latonya, she loves chitlins, but sometimes it's the leftovers that the poor people have that they decided they were gonna make the best of. And you put your heart into it because you're feeding your family or your friends or your community, and it becomes soul food by default of why it was made. You're literally putting your soul into it. Our kitchen puts their soul into the food. You gotta taste the love.
Welcome to another episode of the Melanated Files. My name is Ransom. Today we're joined by David and Latonya, the owners of Soul Food House right here in Azabu, Japan in Tokyo. Pretty much the #1 soul food spot in Tokyo. So if you're in Tokyo, you know where to go. Guys, remember to subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. Let's get into the interview. So guys, can you introduce yourself to the world for me?
My name is David Whitaker. I am one of the owners and the mixologist of Soul Food House.
And my name is Latonya Whitaker. I am also one of the owners working with this one, and the food coordinator /chef / so many other things here at Soul Food House.
All right, so guys, tell me why did you come to Japan in the first place?
First time her classmates invited us, and then we came back for a youth mission trip, and then we came as missionaries.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long ago was this?
Oh, that was a long time ago. So the first trip was probably about 17 years ago now, yeah? And then, so they just wanted us to come and experience, and they asked us to just bring our youth over. And it's been a long story now.
So you're 15 years.
But yeah, I've been living here 15 years.
Okay, so you guys fell in love with Japan, that's why you decided to stay. What was
The first trip, the second trip, yes, we fell in love with Japan. And then, when you move here, it's just like, oh wow, I live here. That's a little different. And then I think he was definitely here. It was immediately, but it took me a little bit of time to adjust.
What was the challenge in adjusting for you?
I'm a family person, so I really miss my mom and my dad. I missed all the family reunions and just events, the Sunday dinners that we have at home, and I just miss being there. And but he always used to tell me, "But you are my family, so why you missing home? You with your family." So it was hard.
But I miss my mother and daddy. It's like,
right?
Come on.
I love you, but I want to go home.
So why did you guys decide to stay? What was the draw? Why Japan? Why did you stay?
So I think the day we decided to stay was the day that I was out the door, wasn't it? I literally woke up in the morning and I said, I'm done. I am no longer staying in Japan. I'm ready to pack my bags and I'm ready to go. And in our neighborhood, we were living in Intabashiku at the time, and there was a big fight that was going on between. We lived at the top of the hill, and people who lived at the bottom of the hill.
Or the middle of the hill.
The middle of the hill.
Middle of the top of the hill.
Yeah, the ones who lived in the middle of the top of the hills, they had their bicycles parked up at the top. And it was a very small, dry area. So they kept thinking they were blocking. So we offered to be able to have our driveway as the bike parking area. And for about a month,
Nobody parked there.
nobody parked there. And we were just
They just
like,
didn't listen.
they just didn't listen at all. And you just feel like you're trying to do something as a community and nothing is happening. And then that was the morning I was just like, I'm tired. I say good morning. Nobody says good morning to you. I say this and nobody does, So it just felt like we wasn't making a difference. And then when I was out the door, he hollered at me and said,
Honey, come here.
Oh,
You gotta see this.
You packed and you were outside?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was just like, I'm out. And
Okay.
he said, let's go for a walk. And let's go to like Eon. And I'm just like, I don't want to go to Eon. And then he was like, but you're coming anyway. Let's just get out the house and go for a walk. And after that, you take it from here.
I walked outside. Our neighbor took our sign down that we were inviting people to park in our garage. Went home, printed out a sign, posted it, and started moving bikes into the garage so people had no choice but to accept parking in our garage.
Okay.
So it took one neighbor seeing our initiative and acting on it for people to actually start parking where we were offering them to.
Yeah. And then after that, so we said, okay, we'll give it a go, we'll give it a try, and we'll stay. But literally, from that simple gesture, we were invited to a community meeting. And literally, that's the leader, president of the community at the time, he said, hello everybody, these are the Whitakers. Please, the Whitakers are okay. Please, let's welcome the Whitakers. And it was like this, and it was just in the room of all the community, and even the politicians came up trying to pour sake and make it so we were officially a part of the
You
community.
learned this is a very important thing in life.
Yes.
Covering your glass
Yes.
so they don't keep pouring.
Yes.
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 I had 2 glasses, so I was like, okay, something in this one, hand over this one. No, I'm good. It's 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm good.
Yeah. So
I learned that the hard way.
I think from that situation, we learned something about communities that probably most people don't ever get a chance to experience. We were invited to homes. We were invited to the bowling parties for the community, the community barbecues. We were officially a part of the community. So every event we were able to go to if we, and then I'm talking about rooftop parties, just all kind of stuff. So from that, it really made a difference to our experience, and it felt like, okay, now, even regardless, we're a part of our community, and I needed that, and even when it was hard, now we had neighbors who were coming over to the house, especially when our dog came, and they were just like, okay, here you are, this is a pack of sausage for your dog, and a pack of sausage for you and you and David. So I was just like, so yeah, our dog got more sausages than we did.
So how did the idea to open the Soul Food House come about?
Oh my.
Years and years of throwing Thanksgiving parties at our house.
Yeah.
And let's see, I'll go with the long condensed version.
Yeah.
So when we first got to Japan, we had no money, and our church helped us out with furnishing our house. Our friend fronted the money for the deposit and everything, and we paid him back. But we were here, supposed to be on a missionary visa. The organization lost our paperwork. So we were here as tourists having to find jobs.
Yeah.
And it was August when we landed. We had, you have 90 days on a tourist visa before you have to go back. So I don't have a university degree. She does. So she was able to search for a job as an English teacher. You know, that fabled job that keeps a lot of people here. And
We're grateful for it. We're grateful for it.
very grateful. But when we were close to the end of the 90 days, we walked to Ikebukuro and somebody was like, "You're looking for a job?" Hold on.
You missing that part. It's some details in between that he
Okay.
missing.
Okay, fill it
Like
in.
literally, I woke up in the morning and I just felt it was just like so strongly. I felt like I was saying, walk to Ikebukuro and walk around until you walk into your job.
Wow.
And we did just that. We walked to
Ikebukuro
Ikebukuro.
was like an hour and a half from where we were living.
Yes.
So you
On
walked
foot.
all the way.
Yeah, we walked.
Okay.
Like we walked. We had no money. And so we walked from Ikebukuro and we walked and kept walking around Ikebukuro until and nothing was happening. It was getting dark. And there was a guy who was selling the incense in the middle. And we stopped and talked to him. And then his friend came up and he was like, "Hey, how you doing? So, do you have a job?" I was like, "No, not yet." He said, "I know exactly where you need to work. Stay right here. I'll be right back."
Wow.
And he went to one of the Ekawa schools that was in Ikebukuro. And I call it out. It was Berlitz. And Berlitz has been good to us. And he went to Berlitz, got the information, and he said, "You need to call this number, and then you need to ask them for an interview." And I did, and I told them the exact same story, and they hired me.
Wow. But wait, how did you guys feel? Like you were walking around and someone actually came.
Yes.
Weren't you like,
Yes,
like,
he was tired because we were literally walking for a minute.
Yeah.
But at
Wow.
the same time, just the fact that, God was faithful. It was like, oh my goodness, this really did happen.
Yeah.
So I wasn't hearing wrong in the morning. It was just literally walking. We walked into a job and then,
She walked into a job.
walked into a job and
I
after
did
that,
volunteer work.
he did the work at the church. And then it was, I worked for that company 8 years. Yeah, I worked for them for 8 years and did some. It was really good. They were really good to me. And then after that, we did our Thanksgiving parties for 10 years to be grateful. We were grateful for that experience. And then for 10 years, Thanksgiving parties. But it came down to he was doing an open mic in Shibuya. And then they were closing down. And so, or changing the ownership. And they wanted to do something different and not the open mic. And so we were looking for a place to be able to keep the community.
Sanitized story.
Yeah, I am telling the sanitized story on that one. We were looking for a way to be able to keep the community together, and we almost got a place that was there, but then once it was time to sign the paperwork, it was found out that he didn't want to have foreigners to own, and I'm talking about on the day of signing. Like it was time to lay it down. So they didn't even have our name in the contract. Like they put our guarantors as the one that was ready.
Okay.
It was crazy. So watch that. Please don't fall for them just trying to get your money, but then don't really want you. So when we said, we're not going to do this, that's pretty much. They wouldn't even let us in the business meeting to close it down. Said it had nothing to do with us. I'm going like, but it was our restaurant and it was our concept and it was our. But that was just not the time or the place that was meant for us.
Oh, so you guys pulled out? Or they pulled
Yeah,
out?
we pulled out. We pulled out because you can't receive a contract that they don't even put your name on it.
Yeah.
And then when we brought that to attention, they literally typed our names to a piece of paper on the back and stapled it to the back of the contract.
Managers.
As managers. And it was just like we had no say-so in this at all. So either you want us or you don't. And they didn't want to have foreigners in the building. And how great that they didn't because we were able to come here.
How long ago was this?
That was 2009.
Yeah.
We didn't, from that time to when we opened this place in 2015, it was a good learning experience because we went through all that trouble of trying to find a place and finding out how expensive it can be, the things you need. I learned a bunch of high-level Japanese business terms. So when I started talking to people as we kept going, you're like, okay, you know how to ask for that. We can talk. 'Cause that's serious.
Yeah. But you just got to know what you want in this business, you know. But that was the beginning to us getting here.
So all that while you were still doing the Thanksgiving dinner?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was 10 years of Thanksgiving dinners?
Yes. Just free parties at the house. It grew from like maybe 30, 40 people to over 200 people.
Oh,
They used to start coming to house parties.
It was in and around the house.
Yes.
Okay.
So we
made sure to invite the neighbors, so it wasn't like a shock of there's people that's sitting in my neighborhood and I don't know what's going on. It's like, no, we're doing a Thanksgiving barbecue today.
I remember.
You want to eat?
Yeah.
I may be by. Okay, we'll see.
It was so funny. I remember one year the police showed up at the house.
Okay.
And everybody was just like, oh my God, I knew it was too many people here. What's going on? Are we in trouble? Police knocking on the door. They're going like, oh, somebody parking the wrong spot down here. We need to go move their car. You know, that was it, because we were a part of the community. And even the taxi drivers that were from the station, people could arrive and say, if they didn't know the address, they can say, could you take us to the Whitaker house? And they would know where we live and drop us out. I took a lot of taxis. It was just like,
You were in Tokyo?
yeah,
Oh,
boy,
snap.
and I still ain't changed. And I blame my mama, because in the beginning, we walked everywhere, right? We were broke. And then my mom came, and then she was like, I love this exercise and everything, but can we get a taxi?
Tell me about the story when you finally found this place.
The story when we finally found this place, we were, let's see, we had already incorporated, because that was something we knew we needed to do to make it easier to find a place.
Yeah.
But we had gone through searching in different areas, and a lot of different places were not this at all. Like me, I'm the type of person that I will take a place that may be dingy, but I can make it work. And
I would kept going, that ain't it. That ain't it. And and we wanted to be in a place. We never chose Azerbaijan because we just knew Azerbaijan was just expensive, and that was out of our price range. Plus,
and it was far. We lived
and it was
in
far,
Itabashi.
and we lived in Itabashi, so we were looking at Ikebukuro or in that area. You know what I mean? So we were just like,
Still
that
Shibuya
was
sometimes.
and sometimes Shibuya, because that was like on our route, and it wasn't as bad. However, come to find out, one of a friend, his name was Jet Edwards. He was like, I need you to meet one of our associates, and this particular guy was friends of the previous owner that was here.
Okay.
And it was found out that his name was Marcus. Marcus found out that he had brain cancer, and he had 2 staff members, and he wanted to make sure that someone could take over what he built. You know, which is not really something. Usually, you know, in Japan, you have to gut out everything before you leave, make it into a skeleton. But he didn't want that to happen, and he wanted to make sure that they were taken care of. So he asked us, were we interested? We got introduced to him through a mutual friend,
In the hospital.
in the hospital. We met him for the first time in the hospital. He got out at different times, you know, and then we decided, we shared a story. And I had just finished talking to my brother, and my brother was saying, no matter what you do, just make sure you continue to tell the story, and you know, of how we got here and what, you know. And then I shared that with him, and he had started crying because he said, I just dreamed of my father, and his father had passed away, and his father said, make sure you find someone that tells the story. And then he knew that we were the ones that he should be working with. And literally, he asked us, he said, I have 2 staff members, will you take care of them? And we said, we will. And they're still working for us today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and great. And the blessing in that, if we didn't have them, I'm not sure if this would be here today. It may still be here, but it would have been much harder, because we had heart and we had food, but we had no idea how to run a restaurant. And those two people taught us how to run a restaurant. So it was like, so this,
skill
yeah,
in
yeah,
food preservation and quantity control.
yeah. They don't go away nothing. So you talking about the end, like if we're making something and then you have something left over, that's staff meal. They can turn some stuff into it's just like we use it. And so they taught us how to run a restaurant, and with that, we're completely and forever grateful to them. So that's why this has been more of all of us. You know, it's not just us running a business, it is a family that's running a business here. And, you know, Sakayo-chan, everybody that's working here, Pay, you, everybody, Lori, it doesn't matter, Kito, Sayuri, everybody. They're
All right,
all,
name drop.
yeah. I mean, Tomo-chan, I mean, all of them, they are family. And when you come here, everybody is working as a family. So you won't find as many, you know, we have to put restrictions in because, you know, some people try to take it, you know, a little further. And then, but at the same time, everybody is working their hardest to make sure that we stay here and they give their all. They work extra hours if they need to. And so, yeah, we have one of the best teams. So with opening, Marcus stayed with us. He was here with almost a year before he passed away. But at the same time, you have to also remember, in Japan, most people don't want to rent to foreign. We were told many times, oh, we love y'all such a beautiful couple, but if you divorce and marry Japanese, then it'll be easier.
Hold up, what? People told you that?
Oh, yes.
Oh, it's a known fact.
That's a known fact. Yeah. We were told that so many times. People would say, oh, sugoi lava, demo. Because, hi,
Really?
you need to get divorced. If you get divorced, then it'll be much easier for you to get your business. Even down to a point that we had someone that came in and brought a Japanese boyfriend for me and said, that's your husband. He can be your husband, but this will be the person who'll take care of you.
Wow.
Yeah, because you can, and it makes it so much easier.
It's not all straightforward.
It's not always straightforward. And I'm just like, nah, that ain't happening. That ain't happening.
So Japanese people encourage this?
Japanese and foreign.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know, because it's a known fact. A lot of people, you don't find too many businesses of people who don't have a Japanese spouse. If any.
And if they do, they have money.
If they do. I mean, so you find a few couples, but usually going into business, it is hard. So that's what we were told. Of course, we decided to stay married, and through Marcus, through Marcus, basically.
Wait, Marcus was a Japanese person?
No, he was Chinese Australian.
And his spouse was Japanese?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
And through him and Takaye, they basically gave us a chance so that at some point, the business owners and people who represented came in here, like what they saw, so that when he passed away, they gave us a contract.
Okay.
They were just like, okay, now we can trust you. You know, and they were already prepping and paving the way for us to say, okay, if we just kind of work with them and see how it's going to go. And then, but yeah, it wasn't hard. And then Azabujuban is a brand. You got to realize, when, you know, you come over, now we got, you know, brought the contract for doing business, and Azabujuban, one of them says to make sure that you don't tarnish the brand of Azabujuban. So there are different things that are different in this area. But because Marcus got this location right after the earthquake, he got it for a much lower price than what maybe, you know, other people may pay in this area. So now we still pay. We still pay, but we're not paying $1 million a month for rent and utilities and stuff like that. But so definitely it was much more affordable than what we could have been paying.
What have you guys learned so far? Like from the point of entering Japan to opening your business, what lesson grew out of that?
Consistent relationships.
Right there. Relationship is everything.
Relationships, they're changeable over time, but like for me, I'm in the music community. The music community will know who you are, whether you have a good reputation or a bad reputation. They're going to know who you are and what your reputation is as to whether or not they're going to work with you. So for me, a consistent reputation dictates how people will deal with you. And if you keep yourself at a level of quality and reputation, other people will go, oh, by the way, you need to talk to him because he does this, this, and this, instead of you need to not talk to him because he does this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And for food, it's the same way. If we're the only soul food restaurant in Tokyo and most likely Japan, and that puts a higher bar to be set than if there were 10 different soul food restaurants. Because if we mess up and lower the bar, that means anybody else can be like, I just need to go a bit above that one to get in, because that's so a little bit better will make people happy and I won't have to try hard.
Yeah, one of the things that we always try to do is, try not to go lower. Always try to find ways to improve because you only have one chance to capture a heart.
Wow.
You only have. That's it. People may come back because I miss the taste of home and it's close enough. But to capture their heart, you only have one chance. So we want to try to do our best. Sometimes we make some mistakes and they happen, and that you try not to beat yourself up for that, because you can't please everyone, and everyone is not going to like everything that you do. But you just try to do your best. And I tell my staff all the time, they kick me out of the kitchen now, But what's important is about making sure every plate has love on it. So if you got an attitude while you making that thing and then you put it out crazy, then you need to start over and do it again. Because people need to taste love because you don't know what they're going through.
So what's your clientele like?
Clientele, hungry. It's the only demographic I go by. Are you hungry? Yes, then you probably would like my place.
However, we live in Embassy Row, so basically we have a lot of expats that do come through. But then in the beginning, like this year's the year that we were hit with the quarantine. And so with quarantine, it kind of affected how it affected a lot of things. And many of the people left for getting ready to leave to go back and stuff. So, but because we started with mainly Japanese clients, our Japanese clients pretty much make sure that we keep going. And then one of the hard parts now is that we're highly supported by the military. The American military come in and they
and food tours.
And food tours. Because we got a chance to do Ugly Delicious on a Netflix show. We have a lot of people who come through from all over the world. It's just, I think you say hungry people. And, but at the same time, it's people of all nationalities, all races. So we're just happy to be loved. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh, good job in Uber Eats.
For people who are venturing into business, right, like young people, or first-time business people who are thinking about it, what would you say to them that can help them to keep going when it gets hard? Like, what lesson have you learned that you can impart to them? Like, okay, look, when it's hard, do this. This will keep you going.
If you're passionate for something, you have to always keep that passion and study to make sure you know how to keep that passion. Because sometimes people can give you advice, but your passion is what's going to continue to drive you. So for us, this is life. Taking care of people, feeding them, giving them good drinks, letting them not feel if they come in here by themselves that they're just alone by themselves.
Yeah.
So the passion is more than just the restaurant itself, but
Yes.
the relationship with the people.
Yeah, if you're saying, but if for any business, that's the key word is passion. If you just say, oh, I want to open a restaurant, or oh, I want to start a consulting business, or oh, I think this will make money, so let me try A, B, or C, and D, you're not going to stick it out.
Passion and relationship.
Yeah, passion and relationship. You have to really stick that thing out to know that you got to know that you want to do it.
Yeah.
And passion keeps you when, and you need to have a good, the people who are around you need to be people that believe in your vision. Because
That's part of relationship.
that's the reason why relationship is so key. And sometimes that's not going to be your friends. You know what I mean?
Hard truth.
You love your friends, and your friends love you. But sometimes your friends are gonna be like, well, why you doing that? Or girl, I can't get over there today because I ain't got no money. That's far. It's so many different things of you stress. Yeah.
I'll be there, but I'm gonna be there.
Or this is causing you too much stress. You need to just stop, or you need to do this. But starting a business is hard. It is not an easy thing to do. So having passion and the relationships of good people around you that are going to be honest and tell you the hard truth, or that's going to help you get over the hump. Because trust me, one thing we didn't share, when our business partner passed away, we were only supposed to pay $1,000 or Jumayan to transfer over the contract. But then they decided they wanted to make sure they give us a new contract, so we had to pay 4.2 million yen, which is about $42,000. We had the 2 in the bank. That was it. We had the 2. We ain't had nothing else. And we looked for investors for about a month and couldn't find it. And it was the day of closing that we were supposed to go and sign the paperwork. That he said that we put a notice on Facebook to say, you guys, if be in prayer for us, because if we don't raise this amount of money today, then Sophie House will be closing. And we raised 2 million yen in one day.
Wow.
And then after that, we went to the owner, went to the company, and they told us, I'm sorry, all or nothing. So we had to go in and sign the paperwork to say we're not doing Sophie House. That was what was happening. And then I drove that day, and we were going to Ebisu, and he was going into the office, and he turned around, he was like, I can't go in by myself. We were already crying, so he asked, can you come in with me? And he had been doing all the work himself. So we went in as a family, and that's when we went in as a family. They told him, they said, oh, come to this room and start signing the papers for the fire insurance. And we're going and this is me. I think we're supposed to be signing some other papers. And then the secretary's like, I don't know about that. It's going to be all right. Going on in there. And he went in there. He was like, well, okay, I'm going to go talk to the fire insurance people. Because they wasn't in there. And they were playing with my son. And he was like 18 months around that age at the time. He was almost 2. So literally, they were playing with him, gave him cake. He disappeared. Now, we wanted to open a business. I wanted to say this, the blessing of kids. We wanted to open a business before a child was born. And then we got pregnant, and then we had to put it on hold for another year. And it was just like, are you serious? But if it wasn't for Jonas, again, I don't think Sophie House would be here still. Because when we went to that real estate office, my son disappeared. And we couldn't find him nowhere. And next thing you know, they directed us to the office. We got into the office and getting ready to sit down. And then the owner goes to go sit down in his chair, the big black chairs that nobody sits in. And sure enough, who's sitting there? Jonas. And he get ready to sit down, and the secretary goes, ah! And he looks at my son and busts out, start laughing. And he turns around and he says, how much time do you need?
Wow.
And then we told him, and he said, well, what do you have? We gave him all the cash that we had raised that day. And then he was like, and then his heart had already changed. Like, it didn't even matter. It's like he already knew that it was going to happen. And again, I don't know how much you know about scripture, but there was a scripture that says the king's heart is in the Lord's hand, and he just directed it into the way he so chooses. And you saw that in that moment, and he was just like, okay, so next month you're gonna have to pay this, and da da da. In a couple months, this is what's gonna happen. And we were like,
you go ahead and go work for it.
yeah. And then he said, so when we got down to how much time you need, and then I was like, he was like, well, can you have it by tomorrow? I said, and that was a Thursday. So he was like, so we can have it by Friday. I was like, can you at least give us Monday? And then he's like, all right. But little did we know, a customer who had came here for the first time on Sunday had sent me a message, and my friend had said, hey, Tanya, one of my friends is trying to get in contact with you. But because he wasn't in my regular friends, the message went to like a different box or a request box or something like that.
I don't like that box.
I know, right? Not at all. So I went in there.
Why do I have 13 messages that I don't know?
Yeah. So anyway, she said he's trying to get in contact with you. Get in contact. So we talked to him, and he said, so what's happening? How much do you need? And what's going on? And we told him. He said, I want to hear your story. Let me know, going back, I want to know your story. So he set up a meeting to come in. And then he sent us a picture to say, just in case you don't know who I am, I just want to send you a picture. And it was a picture of him with my son. And then he just fell in love with my son.
And it was here.
Exactly. So basically, he spent the time at the party. It was a brunch party that they have playing with him. And I'm just like, my boy just has opened up some doors.
Yeah.
So he has really helped. He did his part in keeping this place open. But he came here, and he came to the table over here, and had listened to our story. And then he just took out stacks of cash and said, here you are. Don't let us pay him back. He said, take it. Now, first of all, I'm not a bank, is what he said. However, if something happens and you raise the money or you have this, just reinvest it back into the restaurant. I just want you guys to stay open. And we're still here. And so forever great. And he's still a customer. And basically won't let us give him anything. There's some investors that are just like, okay, I want my free this and I want my free special treatment. He won't let us do that for him. He is just saying, I just want to see you guys do well. And when the corona hit, he was in here ordering takeout all the time. Like, all right, I need this.
Remotely
order takeout. Remotely order it. So it was
sausages.
But still, it is good to have. And my, I think we have a friend that's a friend of my husband's, and I won't call out names right now because of who he is. But he said, you want a few people. I'll let you say that. How did he say it?
You don't need a lot of people to like you. You need a few people that love you. Not a whole lot of people to like you for your business to actually continue on.
And those people will keep you going. So again, as long as you remember to have passion for what you do, keep working at it even when the times get hard. Have that core group of people that believe in your vision and want to help you get there. Now I'm gonna tell you something about the Japanese community. When they love you and love what you do, and they have a heart for what you do, they will give you the support anything they can do, they will do. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's not about money though. You know what I mean? A lot of times we want them to give money, but when you talk about people that will give their skills, their time, their mouth to advertise who you are, they will. And sometimes it is financial, but in most times, they will support you with all of their heart because they love and want to support you. And that's the difference and why it's so important to build relationships in Japan. And not relationships to get something. Relationships because you genuinely love who they are and want to invest in who they are. And they will do the same for you.
So tell me about your black experience in Japan. What has that been like?
I am a musician, so my black experience in Japan has been one of intrigue, awe, and intrigue that I have musical skill, awe in that I actually speak Japanese and know some of the culture, and then just like a surety that I know what I'm doing. So, okay, this is what we want you to do.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But he has had at least one, well, two. Well, of course, when we talked about to get the first business, that was hard.
Yeah.
That was the way we were treated was really not cool. It was not cool at all. And it did have something to do with just not just being foreign and color of skin. The other thing is, David looked strong, and before he became daddy and got some of this, like one guy on the train just wanted to fight him.
Oh, that's the other experience. People are very handsy sometimes.
Start
Like, I have locks, so in a bar or club setting, you'll catch the occasional person go, "Are they real?" It's like,
I don't even tell.
where did you come from and why are you touching my hair?
Yeah. So that's one. And then even touching going like this, and they do the same thing to women as well. I won't even tell you my experience because
But it's a part of the black experience.
Oh, no. I'm not putting that one on camera. When folks come up to you and have stuff in their hands and say, "Are they heavy?" before you even, yes, before they even ask you, you realize
So
that.
put it on camera.
I
You might
still
want
put
to finish the
no,
story.
we gonna just leave it alone. Or when you teach it, or do you taste like chocolate? Or or there are many things. But one guy, because he was strong, wanted to challenge him and grabbed him by the locks and basically yanked them to fight him just because he thought, okay, you think you big, you bad, I'm gonna challenge you, So that was one
That was an
experience.
awkward experience.
That was awkward. It took everything in him to walk away. It took everything in him.
Bro, you're a strong man.
Sometimes you have to go, I will not get deported today. I will not get deported today. I will not get deported today.
But overall, we found that in Japan, many people love black culture and black people. So we've been wildly received.
Are interested enough to ask about it.
Yeah, and because I'm a gospel teacher, I teach gospel music, and also I for GQ, it's your boo, yay! Let me put y'all out there. Love my school, and then also cooking. I was a cooking teacher in my home for 8 years, and so with that, meaning actually, I'm still a cooking teacher, but I think I've learned more about being me and my culture doing that. Living in Japan, because Japan wants to know the stories. And I can know my personal stories, and then you realize how much the history books in America don't tell you. And then because Japan want to know everything, so they want to know who, what, when, why, cornbread or whatever is this, and why you do this. And then you go, and then I know, right? So you go back and you learn your history, and I've learned more about my history through teaching here in Japan.
Okay, so both of you guys speak Japanese, right?
I speak a little bit, and he
Okay.
speaks.
Tell me about your son. Was he born? He was born
He
here.
He was born here.
So what's that experience like? What was it like?
Oh my
Growing up in
God.
Japan, going to school here, and all that.
Before he got into Hoikoi, he's always been considered Hawaii. He's always been cute. 6 months old, after your name is Jonas Karen Whitaker.
No, my name
Not
is
Hawaii. Just to get that out the way. But
It was still hard for him at times.
for going to the park, before he got into school, he didn't speak much Japanese, so it was hard to communicate with other kids
And they
to
went
be able to play. Now that he's in school and he's picked up a lot of Japanese from just everyday interaction and play, that's a force to be reckoned with, because he can go anywhere, hold any conversation, and
It's not that bad. It's his last.
He's growing up to be someone who can recognize cultural differences and both care and not care at the same time,
Yeah.
but not in a discriminatory way. And oh, cool, you're that. Do you want to play?
Yeah. So he would be the child that would go to the park and say, okay, I know what that feels like. You speak Japanese, you don't speak Japanese, but we can all play together. So he would be that bridge in the middle. You know, so he's an amazing kid. But you know, at times there's still challenges because he's going to Japanese school. But fortunately, Minatoku is really good in their education system. And we've met some really good people and teachers that care a lot about him. So they are doing their best to make sure they communicate with us. So yeah, but he's something else. He's something else because that boy already talked about my girlfriend. I'm like, and at that time I'm going. He's 6 now, but I was going like, you 5. You ain't got no girlfriend. I remember the first girl. I'm gonna put it out there like that because I love her. He goes, that's my girlfriend. I was just like, who's your girlfriend? He was like, oh, she kissed me today. Kiss you what? And that was because we were watching a TV show, and he goes, no, you didn't kiss me today. I was like, so next day I take him to school to go find out who she is, and so I go around him outside, and he goes, no, come over here, and he comes over, and then she goes, and then he goes, mommy, this is, and she goes, you know, she's good, ain't she nice? Like, you really trying to formally introduce yourself to me. And then during his birthday party at the school, she goes, Mama, could you braid my hair? First of all, they were 5 at the time. I was like, first of all, ain't your mama. Now get over here so I can do your hair. But I love her. That's what I say. I love her. And then turned out I had lunch with her, and David had lunch with Jonas at that day on the school. Lord.
Where can people find you online? Like online and actually the location for the restaurant?
Soulfoodhouse.com is the easiest way to find the restaurant online. To actually get to the physical location, it's 2810 Asbujuban, Patio Asbujuban, 6th floor. We are not on the first floor, we are on the 6th floor.
6th floor.
In a building that looks swank.
Yes.
Like a marble hallway with a mirror elevator. So if you find that building, you are not at the wrong place, you are at the right place.
You have to walk down a hall to get to the elevator to go up there. So many people miss our place because they're just like, it's supposed to be on the first floor, right? It's not on the first floor.
What about social media?
Soul Food House.
Yeah.
Soul Food House.
Okay,
Soul
so one
Food
word, Soul Food
Yeah.
House.
Yeah.
Instagram,
Yeah. Everything
Instagram,
just
Twitter,
Facebook.
Yeah. Soul
We were
Food House.
able to get easy names.
Why the name Soul Food House? Who came up with that name?
And we had been searching for the name Soul Food House.
We've gone through several
We went through
iterations
several
of
names.
names.
We were like Full Expression.
What were some of them?
Full Expression, Taste of Love, which is now our company name, and then Soul Food House, because
we were selling soul food, and our restaurant was like going to the house. And for some reason, one day that name just popped, and it stayed.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing your story. So guys, thank you so much for watching. This was Soul Food House's owners, right? So David and Latonya, right? So guys, if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and remember to subscribe to this channel for weekly videos on the Black experience across the globe. Until next time, bye for now.